Good morning, children. Today I'll be continuing the lesson Japan and Brazil through Traveler's Eye. That is the part 2 of this lesson. So, yesterday I had completed part 1, in which I went through the pre reading activity, introduction of the author. Then I had started the Japanese manners also, where I went on giving you the description of what is travelogue or travel writing. And now, children, we went through the Japanese manners. So they have got this privacy is one thing. I ended where the meaning of a red telephone, which indicates that it is kept in a public place. In like usually, for example, you see a red telephone which is kept in the streets, usually in shops, halls of hotels. The instrument which is situated like that, where we think that we don't have privacy at all to talk, but then also people in Japan respect each other's privacy because they don't have space to spare for a private telephone booth. Though it is in public, you can just have your business, most confidential business talks, or you can just have your love quarrels also, and you can have your own chats where don't have to fear that people are eardropping or who may hear. People will be walking in front of you, they will go, but nobody will stand there and get interested in hearing what you are talking, because everyone respects each other's privacy. So a telephone is just like a castle for you. So you are in your own fort where you are the boss and you talk to yourself, and there is no fear of anybody eardropping or hearing it. So next we are going to continue the lesson here. Here, children, you will of course immediately notice their craze. Mania, the meaning of mania is craze for bowing. So we have seen Japanese style of wishing each other is their bow. Bowing is bend or ಬಗ್ಗಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಇರುವಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗೆ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟನ್ನು ಕೊಡೋ ರೀತಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಟ್ರೆಡಿಷ್ನಲಿ ಜಪನೀಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಬೈ ಬೋಯಿಂಗ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಸಿ ಈಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿಬಡಿ ಕೀಪ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ಬೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ with that ceremonious solemnity of a courtier, yet with a great deal of natural and inimitable grace. So we see, whenever we see these Japanese, they will just go on wishing anybody who comes in front of them. They have got this mania or this craze to wish the people, that they go on bowing, and that also with the same respect what they say. And it is this great deal which is just like it is very natural, and it is unavoidable, and they give respect in such a graceful way. And what we come to know is bowing is neither less nor more silly than shaking hands or kissing the cheek, but it is quainter, which is more formal, more oriental. It is also infectious. So what we come to know is it is this bowing which is done in Japan, the wishing of each other, where the Japanese people wish the ones whom they want, and this is just like it's just a craze which has been taken, and this bowing is equal to shaking hands or even kissing the cheek in other countries. But this bowing is a old fashioned style. The quinter, the meaning of quinter is it is a old fashioned style which is more formal, more oriental, the way they bend. It is and it is also, it is just like infectious like disease. Once after few minutes, a person who is very new to Japan, he just within a quarter of an hour, he will also he'll be receiving, he doesn't know many, but whoever he sees the Japanese people, they go on wishing. And what they, within 15 minutes of that, you come to know that what a well-mannered people they are, and this becomes an infectious disease. Even you start bending and bowing to others without your knowledge. So after a few hours, you start bowing yourself also, and but you bow too deeply. So what is the this how to give respect for the in standards. When you go through that, it is respect in bowing is how deeply or not deeply enough. You bow to the wrong man at the wrong side, you do not clasp your hands in front of you, which is bad, or you do not, you do which is worse. So how to bow and in what condition you should be having your hands is also very important. Just bowing also, not only bowing, you should not clap your hands when you're in front of you, when you're bowing to somebody. And not only that, if you do that, it becomes a worst possible thing. And you will discover that the Japanese have a complicated hierarchy in bowing. So there is a standard of bowing where it has been given in a form, and it is traditionally what are the customs there, what are the traditions they follow in a hierarchical form is, and that is they have got their own rules and regulations, who bows to whom. So whom should be, who bows to whom, and how deeply and for how long. The bowing which is done, if it is a quick bowing, means a person who is just known to or unknown person also, they would like to say, like we say namaste to many people. We give respect for the people. If you don't know also, you just say namaste when you meet somebody who is new and whom you don't know also, like that only. Here bowing to an extent, and to an extent where it is little bit lower, but if it is too low, that is if you bend too much, the respects are in different forms or in category wise what they have tell. So a person who is well respected, an unknown person, a stranger, or a respectful person, or a person who is a middle class person whom you just recognize. So there is very forms of giving respect, bowing. It goes on according to that thing. So the lowest bowing has got the much respect is given. You will who bows to whom is a rule, and who bows to whom, how deeply and for how long, that is also considered. One of the American state which had in America, when we see state had an early traffic rules in it. So if two traffic laws which laid down that if two cars met at an intersection, if two cars which are passing by, which come and meet in between the roads, so what happens there is, if it comes near the corner where they have to move, so neither was to move before the other had gone. So one has to move and then only the other. So if both meet at the same end, they can't both together cross the road. So it is usually, if an intersection has come there, one car moves and after that only the other car can move. So here if both of the Japanese, if they meet and if they bend together until one stands straight, the other one can't stand. So he has to bow one. So if both of them respect each other by bowing each other, but there it has to be considered, one has to stand straight, then only the other has to will stand. So a little complicated for us, they manage without difficulty, and even the smallest difference in rank, standing, age, social position will be subtly reflected in the split second. One man's bow is shorter than the other. So you come to know how much respect he is giving by how much he is bowing to the opposite person. So whether he is a well respected man, or whether he is a other person who is not that important, or he is too much respected, you come to know that by this. Now what happens is a little complicated to us, but they manage without much difficulty. Even the smallest difference also they can make out. In many cases there are clear cut differences in the position and no difficulties. The basic rules which are laid in the family. So in a Japanese family, what are the rules there? The wife bows to her husband. So it is compulsory. In a family, usually definitely a wife bows and gives respect to her husband, and the child goes to her father. A child, whether irrespective of a girl or a boy, the child respects the father, and younger brothers to elder brothers, younger brothers to elder brothers, sister bows to brothers of whatever age, whether he is younger or elder, the sister has to bow to younger and elder brother also, and whatever age. I saw babies carried in Japanese style on their mother's back in clever little saddles. So we have seen in Japanese pictures, when you see the picture has been given here, the Japanese mother who is carrying the baby in her saddle at the back. So whenever mother bends to give respect to the opposite person or to the father, even the baby which is there in the saddle of a mother, that also back. So here the child learns giving respect before it starts walking. So before it learns to talk, before it's able to walk. So the child is taught from a very young age. It goes on moving, bending at the very starting when it is in the mother's saddle itself. And whenever mother bowed, baby bowed too, somewhat condensingly. So somewhat bending or bend low from his majestic height. So he is behind his mother, but when mother bends, even the baby bends, and it is in that height also. Japanese stores, they have got one phrase here. Japanese stores usually employ bowing girls. So like who stand on the top of escalators and whose only duty is to bow deeply and differently to all the scenery, that is Japanese. So here whoever comes to these malls or whoever comes to the Japanese stores, these Japanese have got this craze for bowing so much is they employ the girls here just to bow. Their duty is only to bow to the customers who come in. So this bowing is equal to a page boy. You might have gone to one of the 5-star hotels. If you go to any star hotel or a very good hotel, what we see is there are people who we see a man standing in front of near the gate where he wears a uniform, a traditional uniform of that particular hotel, and he stands there and he is called a page boy. And what he does is his only duty is to welcome the people or welcome the people who come to the hotel. He smiles and he just says welcome, and he opens the door for you and you go inside. While going, when you are going out of the hotel, once again he opens the door and he says thank you. So this is the only duty of a page boy, where he is doing this duty. And like that only in Japan, these bowing girls duty is only to bow to the customers who come to the stores and the malls. On the famous, so what we see is, one more thing is, when we go on seeing the craze for bowing here, the craze for bowing goes to such a thing is, on the famous and fast Tokaido lane between Tokyo and Osaka. So this Tokaido and Osaka is a place, these are the places in Japan. And what we see is, here as soon as a bus comes here which has to go between Tokyo and Osaka, there many of the people who go in this bus, they go and take their seat and sit. And after these people, the people who want to who have come into the bus and they are taking their seats, two conductors enters the carriage in a slightly theatrical manner. So we see the conductors or the conductors coming, and from both the sides what we do is, they come from both the sides, and what they do, march to the middle of the coach, bow ceremoniously in both the direction, and then start checking the. So they both come from each direction and they they come in the middle, and then they bow to the passengers who are sitting there, and after that only they will start checking the tickets. In one of the parts of Nara, so Nara is a park which is there, which is a park. When the author George Mikes would have gone there to see the zoo. Nara is a zoo where he meets a deer there. He met deer, he says. I bought a pack of foods for this deer, and when he goes inside the park, he sees one of the deer. He came up to me, he says the deer came to me, looked into my eyes and bowed deeply. So he says this craze is not only with people of Japan. Even a deer in one of the zoos, that is, I saw one of the deers which came near to me and bowed deeply. And it not only that, it was no chance gesture. It was not a simple way of just it did like that. It knew that it had to, it knew what it was doing. And he says it has cultivated this habit of bowing by going on looking at the people. Even that also, even a deer also imitates the Japanese people. And here that is looking at the people bowing at each other. Even a deer also has learnt bowing. And that what he says, it is genetic in not only in the people, even the animals, because they also imitate bowing. And he says bowing all the time, they get into the habit to, perhaps it is something genetic and in the blood of Japanese deer also. I do not know, but to know that the deer bowed to me. So, but I don't want to go through the very deeper study in that, but I definitely know that the deer bowed to me. And not only that, after that he jumped at me and then snatched the food. I had taken a food packet, a small food packet for the deer, and it came very near, bowed to me, looking at me. It just bowed and gave the respect, and afterwards it snatched the food packet from my hand and ran away. So in this too, the deer was a true Japanese, I felt, he says. And you can often see people bowing to each other in a ceremonious serenity, in such a way, in such a good respect for each other and giving their respect. But what we see in a bus stand is entirely different scene. What we see in a bus stand is, as soon as the bus comes there, what we see is these bowing gentlemen are transformed into savages. They just act like cavemen. They become uncultured people. They become devils. They push each other, so they don't mind going one on top of the other to catch the seat fast. And they just go on, they stamp on each other. They go this trend on each other's toe, and they even don't mind shoving, that is pushing with force each other's elbows, each other's hand or elbows into the stomachs. And that's how they become savages when the bus comes to catch the seat, is the thing. Now we have seen one more manners in Japan, that is eating of soup. So we have been having this everywhere. They have got their own way of having food in every country or in states. We see where we have got our own way of having the food habits. Like in that, even in Japan, the soup is very important consumption which is there. So in foods, soup is the most important thing for them. So here they tell eating soup is the topic which has been given here, continuation of the Japanese people. So over the food habits in Japan. So in eating food also they have got the manners to be followed. What is it is, eating soup has more dangers than almost anything else. So how you eat the soup, how you drink the soup, and what is the thing you have to follow has been given here. When eating soup, you must make a fearful noise. So according to us here in India, where we think that making noise, or in European countries, if you think that while eating you have to eat it very neatly, and not only that, you should not make noise of the help you now. So how you chew, you have to close your mouth, you have to eat it very neatly and behave well. But in Japan it's not like that. If you are having the soup, if you are eating a soup, you have to make a lot of noise. So fearful noise, that also the way you just drink the soup, the sound has to come, and the sound has to be heard to the guest there. It is a sign of appreciation. The how much louder you make the sound, fearful noise if you make, that is the sign of appreciation, that you have loved the food. The food is very good, that is an appreciation. So the more the fearful noise is made, the one you just making the noise, you come to make to know the guest that you have the food is very tasty and you appreciate the food. If you don't make the sign, your hostess will think what an ill-mannered lout he is. So what a man he is. He doesn't have manners at all. See, he is not doing any sound, and he is having his food, and he doesn't even know how to appreciate the good food what I have given. But if you do also, if you are a foreigner and if you do also, the first thing is they will think that what an ill-mannered man you are if you don't make a sound. But there is one more chance of making you ill-mannered. But if you are a foreign person in Japan, if you make the sound, that also goes opposite to you. No reasonable, well-brought-up European makes such disgusting noises, because in European countries you don't make noise when you are having food. That is also one of the things which tells here that a well-brought-up European, he doesn't make this habit of disgusting noises while eating the soup. He must be an ill-mannered man, or he must be an ill-mannered lout. That is what is the conclusion given by the host. So here, children, we have come to the end part of the Japan. George Mike's experience of coming to Japan, the way their manners are, and he sees even the manners of bowing which has been taken when he goes to the zoo park in Nara. He sees even the same bowing is done by a deer. He feels that even not only the people have got craze for wishing in such a way, bowing, even a deer also has learned to imitate the people, and even it bows. And then he sees how he saw the people in Japan, those well-mannered people, how they get changed suddenly when they come in a bus stand, when they see a bus coming suddenly in the bus stand. The well-mannered people who are bowing to each other in a line suddenly become savages. They stamp the feet of others. They just shove their hands into the stomachs of the people. They want to be first, and they don't bother about whom they are pushing or pulling or kicking to get inside a bus. So they become savages there. And now we come to know that they got their own manners in eating soup also. While eating soup in Japan, we have to make a lot of noise. And if you don't make noise, you are taught to be an ill-mannered person by the host who gives the food. Or if you are a European, if you make this very noisy way of taking the soup, then also you are he is not a well brought up European, I think so. That's why he is making such a sound. So this is the end of the Japanese manners, children. And today I'll be ending the lesson in the second part. I have completed the his experience, George Mike's experience of visiting Japan, children. Thank you, children. Tomorrow I'll be continuing with the Brazil, the traffic in Brazil. Thank you, children.